We're back with Chapter 2, the ratios and percents, solving simple equations. So this time we're looking at the percentages, and we want to change the percent to a decimal, and then we're going to change it to a fraction. So to change to a percent, I'll move this up just a hair. This time, to change from a percent to a decimal, we divide by 100. So remember, when I'm going from a decimal to a percent, I multiply. So when I'm going from a percent to a decimal, I'm going to divide. And if I'm dividing by 100, I'm going to drop the percent sign. So if I do 45 divided by 100, I'm just moving my decimal 2 places to the left. Okay, because the decimal is always at the end of the number, it goes 2 places to the left. Remember, if you don't have a whole number, you're going to put a 0 in front of it. So I get 0.45. So that's my decimal. That's the easiest thing we've done. Now, to change it to a fraction, I'm going to do that fraction in blue. I'm going to take my percentage, or I can take my decimal, whichever one I have. I'm going to put it over 100 because it's in the hundreds place, or because I'm always dividing. A percent is always going to be divided by 100, even if I'm making it to a fraction. It's going to be my percent over 100. So 45 over 100, and then you want to reduce, always reduce. So I'm going to look what goes into 45 and what goes into 100. And I can see that 5 goes in it real easy. And if you can see something else, that's great. Go ahead and do it. My brain's not thinking that way tonight, so I'm just looking at it here. 45 divided by 5 is 9. 5 goes into 100 20 times. And the way I look at that is that I know there's 5 20s and $100. So now look at my fraction. Can I reduce it anymore? Is there anything that goes into 9 and 20? And there's not. So 45% as a decimal is 0.45 or 45 hundredths. A percentage as a fraction, 45% as a fraction is 9 over 20. All right, let's look at number 8. I have 5%. So again, I'm going to take my 5%, drop the percent sign, take 5, divide it by 100. And remember, I want to move in my decimal to the left. So this time I have to add a 0. So I get 0.05. So 5% is 0.05 or 5 hundredths. And then to write it as a fraction, I'm going to take my percent or my decimal, doesn't matter, and I'm going to write it as 5 over 100. And then remember, you've always got to reduce. So I'm going to take what goes into 5. Well, 5 goes into 5 is the only thing. 5 goes into 100. So I get 1 out of 20. So my 5% as a fraction is 1 over 20. And my 5% as a decimal is 0.05 or 5 hundredths. Okay, so this is some of the easier stuff we do. Let's look at number 9. It's 0.5%. Okay, it's still a decimal. It's a decimal percent. I still have to take that decimal, drop the percent sign, and divide it by 100. Which means that I'm still moving my decimal 2 places to the left. So I'm going to add a 0, add my decimal, put a 0 in front of it. So I have 0.005. So this is my decimal number, 5 thousandths. Okay, so I can still do the same thing with my fraction. I can take my decimal and write it over the thousandths place, just like this. Have 5 over 1,000, and if I reduce it, I'm still going to reduce it by 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1,000 divided by 5, and I can look at it as $10 and how many, how many fives are in $10, or I can look at it still as 5. How many fives is in 1,000? And there's 200 fives in 1,000. So my fraction's 1 over 200. If I want to take my 0.5 and have the 0.5, drop it, put it over 100. And again, we don't like decimals and fractions. So that means that I need to move my decimal one place on top. So that means I'm moving it one place on the bottom, and I'm adding a 0 in. So the decimal is always at the end of the number, and it's going to get moved one place in this case. Oops. So then I'm going to end up again with 5 over 1,000 because I have 3 zeros. When I reduce it, I still get 1 over 200 because they're both still divisible by 5. So either way you do it, you're still going to get the same answer, the 1 over 200. Okay. That's changing a percent to a decimal to a fraction. And I'm going to end this video here, so hopefully have short videos. And then I'll be back in a minute with number 10.